Yo, what up YouTube? It's your boy, Scubby McDucky here, in a room with a lot of reverb. Today I'm going to be going over the song Habitual Gloom by my band For the Likes of You. I'm going to be doing a lyrical analysis, breakdown, kind of like a Genius video I guess, where I run through the lyrics and explain what they are about and my point of thinking when I was in that state when I wrote it, so let's get into it. So we kind of open up here with this smoky visual, and then immediately cuts to like the apparition or whatever, the thing that's representing the feeling, the habitual state of gloom, that gloominess that never goes away and is always present. So it's kind of showing like the mental headspace right now of like the smoke coming out and just like that clutter and that turmoil, and then immediately transitioning to like the physical embodiment or the thing to blame. It's like this is, the representation of what we're about to be told. And then opening here to the bed shot, kind of like, like rolling around, and just the overall setting of the whole room is that everything is mundane, normal day things done in a very gloomy, very spooky looking, just very not ordinary looking of the ordinary tasks. So to kind of to like over-represent that feeling of being stuck in a rut or like the turmoil of complacency. So it shows, the bed, but everything's like gloomed down and everything. And then it cuts to the band performing in the living room, which is not, a typical place to perform music, and everything's kind of like normal. Like the stuff's all still there, but it's covered in plastic and there's smoke everywhere. So it's supposed to represent this like kind of hazy, like inner area of life where you're at. So let's keep going.
Condescending grins spilled across all of their faces. We are cattle, oblivious to the imminent slaughter.
Okay, so opening line is condescending grins spilled across all of their faces. We are cattle, oblivious to the imminent slaughter. So this is just representing how people put so much pressure on themselves to make sure that everybody around them is happy and likes what they're doing and is okay with what they're doing. So you're so focused on the condescending grins of people around you and what they're gonna, grimace and think of you, that we all kind of just slowly, walk ourselves off this cliff, or metaphorically, we're the cattle who are just not paying attention to what actually matters and the things that make us happy, and like the scarcity of life and everything. We're so distracted on making sure that everybody else, like what they care about us and how we look to other people, that we just ignore important things. Like the next line is going to go further into the frozen bones covered in frostbitten skin. When will the heat of the sun release us from our prisons? So that's just saying, going along with the ignoring everything, is that you become so numb in this state of life that your bones are frozen, your skin is frostbitten, you're numb to things, you don't have that awareness that you usually had, or that fire anymore. And then when will the sun release us from our prison? So the sun melting our bones, like our frozen bones, to go along with that line, but also meaning like giving away your problems to things like religion or other people, or blaming things. It's kind of just like, well, when's the sun gonna melt my frozen bones? It's not gonna. You're gonna have to pursue that, is what that's supposed to all encapsulate.
Frozen bones, covered in frostbitten skin. When will the heat, will the sun release us from our prisons?
Never thought it get this far. I feel so locked away.
Okay, so we have the first like pre-chorus, I guess. It's like the first half of what the actual chorus is. Never thought I'd let it get this far. I feel so locked away. So that was Ryan's parts. He writes to the parts that he sings, and he kind of took my song, and that was like his interpretation to add to it. So his saying there is that, going along with what I was saying about being numb to everything and kind of just becoming complacent, is that everyone has like a dream and like an aspiration when they're young, and then they just get so caught up in the monotonies of life that you kind of just get too far away from how you felt and emotional pressures and everything. So that's just supposed to set that up, of just like that overall feeling of just confusion and yearning, and kind of like starting to become less numb and wanting something, and like starting to realize it. All right, comes into the next heavier part. So that, habitual gloom. slumber deep into the night. So it's just, saying that the gloom is there. It's a part of everyday life. It's there when I'm sleeping. It's there when I'm awake. And then cutting into the next part, just, repeating the habitual gloom, I think adds to that idea of saying that you're living in this habitually. So to keep kind of saying that phrase, like, drives it home more of the monotony of it, that it's there and ever present. And we have the next line, the carnivorous by nature, hateful by trait. So that is just saying that, like, as, just animals, as people that we have this, like, hunger to survive and to, have self-preservation. So it's not necessarily our fault that we aren't taught these things or told these things, that we react so hateful and standoffish when it comes to self-preservation, like, and that comes to self-image. You think you're being challenged, or people are coming after you or attacking you, so you become hateful and you push and you get everybody off you, because then nobody can hurt you if you're hurting everybody else and keeping them at a distance. So that's just supposed to be what that represents, is that, like, that hatefulness and that carnivorous attitude in us, I feel, isn't what we want to do. It's just a defense mechanism a lot of times. Like, I feel like most people aren't wanting to be hateful, angry people. It's just all that they know because they've been hurt so much by other hateful, angry people. It's just like a cycle. And just being aware of it is a very important thing in life to get through it all. Moving on. Alright, so I just wanted to let that whole part ring out, just because it's, kind of like a one continuous take. So I'll just read that whole part. It's monochromatic memories surge through my mind as I sit alone and wonder why I let it all fall apart. So I'll go through that part first. So, if you don't know what monochromatic means, it's just, monochrome is things that are, like, in lack of color, like gray and black and whites, and not necessarily grays, but, that, like, lack of color, not black and white, but, like, color's been sucked out of things is how that's supposed to be. So that's supposed to represent the lack of excitement and the fire that you have. So when it says monochromatic memories surge through my mind as I sit alone and wonder, like, what happened, it's basically saying that, like, in that state of mind when I wrote this, is that lately my memories have all just been about bad things, and I don't have any recently exciting things. When people are like, "What'd you do this week?" and I'm like, "Nothing." I just worked and tried to stay busy, and you start to just forget how to be happy, and you focus so much on the negative stuff, and you seclude yourself, and you just get trapped in this cycle of turmoil. So that's what that first half is, and the next part is, I blame the world too long. This is a promise. Repeat after me. I am not a victim. So this line is, I feel, pretty self-explanatory, but it's just saying, I've accumulated all of this awful feelings inside of me and all this hatred towards myself and other people and cut everybody off and all this sadness inside me, and it's, at the end of the day, it's my fault for letting it get this far. Like, I was raised how I was raised, and I have these traumas and these problems that are fucking me up inside, but I'm aware of them, so I need to make the healthy steps to fix it. It's not something that's going to go away on its own. It's something that I have to seek help for. I have to talk to people. I have to get guidance in some way. So that is just the self-realization in this song. It's supposed to be like the glimmer of the turning point of, like, okay, fuck this. I don't want to live in this state of oil anymore. I want to get out of this. So that is that, the repeat after me. I'm not a victim. I'm the controller of my own reality. I am not this victim that I've been led to believe I am through circumstances in life. Next part. Alright, so I like this part. That was the chorus. I never thought I'd let it get this far. I feel so locked away. It's a repeat of what happened earlier, and then the extension is that, always tell me I'll be fine, but there's no saving this time. So that's just to go along with that fake, like, I try. It's like the thoughts and prayers kind of attitude, like, you always tell me I'll be fine, but you don't actually have any input to give me or any guidance to put, not that you have to, but, just to be like, things will be fine, and then to, like, why even say that? You don't have anything to offer, you don't know it'll be fine. Why even say that? It's like this fake, false, like, just so you can feel better about it, you know. And people do it all the time, like, oh, my thoughts and prayers to this family, and it's like, well, why do they need to know that you are sending your thoughts and prayers? Those are both things that are internal. Why do you need to tell them that you're doing that? So that's kind of what that is supposed to represent. And then the there's no saving this time is just more, you know, it's right after that part of the I'm not a victim part. So it's to be like this you know, rising action, and then immediately sucked back down by these thoughts of just, well, you know, maybe it is too late for me. Maybe I've gone too far and I can't go back to this. And then when it comes back into my part, you know, you'll see that it'll start to question those thoughts again, and there's always this struggle of like these two people fighting. Okay, pause right there real quick. Sorry to blue balls you on that breakdown. Just a little reminder too, if you want to check out the song uninterrupted, you know, link is in the description. So this next part is a bit of a breakdown right after the chorus, and it says, when the last grain of sand crashes down from the hourglass, will you be burden free? So that is just saying, when you die and you're in your deathbed and you have those final memories surging through your head, is it going to be a bunch of missed opportunities, or is it going to be fun and excitement and bonds that you've made with people, and you can leave knowing that people care about you and that you've left a family behind, or people that care, or that you've at least lived to how you've wanted to live. You know, you haven't spent your whole life running from your problems, and you know, now you're out of time. That's it. So it's just, you know, when you get to that moment, that's what is driving me as a person right now, is when I get sad or, you know, think things are too heavy, it's like, okay, these are the moments I need to reflect on. And what is life? You know, we get this one chance in it, and I want it to be fun. I want to remember the fun times that I had when I'm buried in the ground, you know, or right before that. And, you know, if nothing happens, I want to be able to have that moment of solace to just be like, I'm content. I did everything that I could, and I was happy. I did it my way, baby. And then they say hope's die last, but when your eyes roll back, will you leave content or die with regret? So yeah, that's just driving home that part more. And then don't die with regret, will you leave with content or die with regret? It's a bit repetitive there, but I liked that notion of just repeatedly asking that question, like, are you good? Like, are you sure you're happy with that? Are you sure you're happy with the actions that you're making right now? So yeah, that's why it's repetitive there. And then it goes into this conversation piece here, where it's the person one and person two kind of talking back and forth, which is supposed to be like, it could be multiple things. It's got like a layer effect to it, where it could be the internal struggle you're having with yourself of being the one that's like, you're stupid, you're not depressed, you're just, you know, faking it for attention or something, or like that questioning thought inside your head that's always doubting yourself, versus the one that's very real and it's like, no, I need help, I'm sick, I need guidance or something, I feel so lost, like that internal struggle. But it also is kind of like, you know, a vague call out to pseudo friends that always, like I was saying, you know, this is like, oh, I'm there for you, like, oh, if you need to talk, dude, just call me, instead of, if you actually cared, you would just hit them up or call them. And, you know, you kind of just say that for yourself, to be like, I did everything I could, I tried, you know, I told them that I was there for them. So it's kind of also supposed to represent that person. And again, this isn't supposed to seem like a blameful thing on those people. It's supposed to be like, you know, maybe think about your actions before you just blindly say, you know, like, if you're not emotionally good, don't tell somebody else that they can rely on you to be there for them, because that's just, you know, who are you saying that for? It's just hurting that person and, you know, causing another rift between two more people. So if, you know, you can be supportive of people, but there's good ways of doing it, and then there's toxic ways of doing it. So that's what this whole conversation is supposed to represent, is the feelings of somebody going through something, and then somebody else who's maybe not seeing that side of things, who maybe isn't depressed or has a different viewpoint on how that affects them. You know, it's kind of like that blaming them or like putting them down and be like, well, I'm able to do this, why can't you? It's like certain people deal with certain things differently, and that's just supposed to be what that's about, is like, I need more than the vague, like, you'll be good, you know, you'll be okay. I need like specific help. That's supposed to be what that's referring to, is the ignorance of other people just maybe not getting it and not putting themselves into your perspective and just be seeing things through their own, rose-colored shades. It's a bummer that it happens, but it does, and I think a lot more people need to be honest about it with each other. Next part. Okay, love that part. That's my favorite part that Ryan did on this. So it's this gloom looms over me, the side you'll never see. You told me I'd be fine, but there's no saving me this time. So, the ending is reiterating that earlier point of just feeling like it's gone too far, and people maybe even that suicidal thoughts that are sludging you down. You feel like it's too late. It's there's no pulling me out this time. In the first part of that, this gloom looms over me, the side you'll never see. So it kind of is talking about, because the rest of the song it keeps pulling back this positive, like, are you okay? Like, are you good with this? It almost seems like I'm talking to someone else, but it's like this internal struggle, asking myself, am I going to be content? Am I going to be happy when I die? And this is pulling that back more again, too. It's like there's this confident presence in the song of, like, asking these demanding things, but there's this gloom that's constantly there that I don't show people, that I never get out, because I'm always... I'm always trying to help other people and make everybody else happy and smile and be the funny guy and bring everybody else's mood up. So there's always this side that I just never express, that I was always taught to deal with those things internally and to not make my burdens other people's burdens. So it's, you can only do that for so long before you start to just feel sick on the inside and have all this internal turmoil. And that's what this whole song is, that battle back and forth of, like, that sad, depressive mindset and the effect it has on people around you and how they view you and how you view them and yourself and what you ignore and everything. So yeah, I really liked it. I really like what he wrote with that part. I think it brings it home pretty strong. And then it goes back into the conversation pieces next. I'll read over that and then play it. Person 2 says, you're being dramatic, get over it. Person 1 says, no, you don't get it. No one ever does. And that's, what I was saying earlier. There's some people that are depressed or know what they're going through is, and they don't know how to deal with it. And then there's people that see that who maybe don't relate, who didn't struggle or who aren't currently struggling or maybe have lesser problems. And that's its own topic, is a lot of times those people feel worse that they can't complain about things, and that's not cool either. And that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that if you went through something and it wasn't as bad as somebody else that you're not allowed to complain. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying maybe be more open to the fact that other people have gone through different levels of severity than you have, or maybe even don't know how to handle it as well as you have, because they don't have that perspective. It's like when a baby gets pinched, it's like the most unbearable thing in the world to that baby, and it cries incessantly because it's the first time it's ever experienced pain. You don't think a pinch probably hurts that bad, but to a baby that's probably the worst thing ever, because it's the first time they've seen it. So like to people that have never been through that, there's different levels of experience to these problems. A breakup to somebody who's never had a hardship in their life might be the worst thing ever. Like they've never been engaged to deal with that type of trauma. And somebody who's gone through a fuck ton of bad things, who's, I'm sad, I'm depressed, and people are just like, whatever, I don't get it, I don't know how you could be. Like, you have all these things, that you have this internal battle that you're dealing with that people tend to oversee or ignore. And that's what this conversation is trying to bring home. Well, that's not going to solve anything, saying that no one doesn't get it. I feel like I'm dying. What scares me most is that I'm tired of trying, is that, like, I don't want to die. But this, like I said, the toxin in you can only be there for so long before you feel like giving up. Person 2, do this again, like, you just seem like you're crying for wolf. And then, I need help, not a get well soon gesture. I don't need your thoughts and prayers. I need an ear or somebody to talk to. I need a guidance, somebody to wake me up or send me in the right direction, that type of attitude. It was the main focus behind this song. So this part needs, I think, a little more clarification, and I like this part. It's supposed to be a little more artistic, but it's grizzly colors of pastels blue, noticed but never addressed. So pastel blue is a very light color, and it's supposed to represent that, softness that people have, or somebody like me, in like that little light blue, that soft color, that if you see that pastel blue, you know it's a delicate color. Like you see it on delicate things, it means soft usually. So when I say grizzly colors of pastels blue, it means that there's a pastel blue that's been, defaced. It has like reds and darks all over it. It's covered in grisly colors, like red and visceral looking things. They're noticed, but they're not addressed. So you see pastel blue, this soft, innocent thing, or another human being, for example, that's the most delicate thing that could exist, is a person. There's so much intricacies and delicacies to a person that makes them who they are. So looking at somebody and knowing that they're going through something, and knowing, like, it's like when you ignore abuse in public, it's like you see it, but you don't do anything. Somebody else will deal with it. It's not your problem. So you notice it, but you do not address it. So that's what that's supposed to represent. And then the next part follows that up, is bite your tongue and do what you do, which is, do what you do best. You belittle and degrade those that seek help. So, and you're that person that's sitting there going, somebody else will deal with it. Somebody else will deal with it. But then when that person's seeking for help, you just go, quit faking it, get over it, go for a walk, you'll be fine. You don't, do anything. You bite your tongue when it's beneficial for you, and then you speak up when it degrades and belittles people who need help, and who a lot of times are saying those things because they want help, and then you put them down for looking for attention or something. So let's play that out real quick. That shot of his hand disintegrating too, that's kind of like almost, I like the idea of it representing, like, is he fading away? Is he giving up? Like, did he give up to those thoughts? Did he cave in? Did he let that part of him go? Like, I like this vague disintegration of, like, especially because he was the one singing the chorus, and he was kind of like the almost pessimistic voice of it that was like, I don't know if I'm going to be okay. And he disintegrates away towards the end, almost implying that, I'm gonna be okay, that the good thoughts are holding me together right now, and they're not fully disintegrated, but they're starting to go away. And then to end it with the decloaking of the baddie, which funny enough is actually played by Ryan too, so that really works with this whole encompassing of him kind of representing those feelings in this. And I'm not afraid of you anymore, decloaking the creature, and right here, representing that, and it kind of covering the camera almost, and falling to the ground, like this climax of drained emotion, and after confronting your demons, how exhausting that is, and how hard it actually is, just wanting to represent that and showcase that through all this gloomy imagery. So yeah, that was the song Habitual Gloom by my band For the Likes of You. If you liked it, or if you got a better meaning out of it, maybe hit that young subscribe button, check out some more of my content, follow my band For the Likes of You. We have new music coming out very soon, so thank you for being here, appreciate you, see you on the flip side.